Introduction. Turning 60 can feel like crossing a threshold. For some, it's a time of freedom and reflection. For others, it can come with a quiet ache, the realization that certain relationships, especially with family, aren't what they once were. Maybe your children are distant, your siblings estranged, or your once vibrant family gatherings have faded into silence. But here's the truth, it's not too late, not even close. This stage of life offers a powerful opportunity, the chance to reconnect with the people who matter most. And not just reconnect in a superficial way, but to truly heal, rebuild trust, and cultivate deeper, more meaningful bonds. After all, time doesn't erase the love we've shared, even if life has made it harder to express. At 60 and beyond, many people start to reflect on legacy, meaning, and emotional fulfillment. This is when we often crave connection more deeply, not for validation, but for belonging. Reconnecting with loved ones isn't just about fixing the past. It's about enriching the present and building a future rooted in shared understanding and love. Why do these relationships drift apart in the first place? Sometimes it's misunderstandings that were never cleared up. Other times, life simply pulled everyone in different directions. Careers, relocations, health challenges, or emotional wounds that were too difficult to face. But here's the beautiful truth. Even long-standing distance can be bridged, and even silent wounds can be healed with time, intention, and vulnerability. In this video, we'll walk through 5 key steps to help you rebuild these vital connections. You'll learn how to approach loved ones without fear, how to have the hard conversations with compassion, and how to create new memories that bring joy instead of pain. Whether you're trying to get closer to your adult children, rebuild trust with a sibling, or reconnect with your partner after years of quiet separation, this message is for you. You'll see that emotional reconnection doesn't require grand gestures. It starts with a phone call, a letter, or even a moment of stillness in which you choose to open your heart again. These steps are about healing, yes, but they're also about celebrating who you are now, someone older, wiser, and more aware of what truly matters. Your age isn't a barrier, it's an advantage. You now carry the experience, patience, and emotional depth that only life can teach. And with these tools, you're more than ready to take that first step, to reach out, to listen, to forgive, and to love again. Let's begin this journey together. Chapter 1: Understanding the Distance. Why relationships fade after 60. Before you can rebuild any relationship, it's essential to understand how and why the distance formed in the first place. This is not about placing blame, it's about creating clarity. Relationships don't fade overnight. It happens slowly, almost imperceptibly, like a soft drift on a quiet tide. And after 60, these changes can feel more pronounced, especially as life priorities shift and the roles we once played evolve. One major reason relationships weaken is life transitions. Retirement, for instance, changes daily structure and often affects identity. You may feel you've lost a role that once defined you, as a provider, a mentor, or a busy parent. Without that rhythm, it's easy to feel disconnected, not just from yourself, but from the people around you. Meanwhile, your adult children might be immersed in their own careers or raising families, unintentionally creating emotional gaps that grow wider over time. Another factor is unspoken tension or unresolved conflicts. Many families carry old wounds, misunderstandings never discussed, hurtful words never addressed. Over time, these can harden into silence. We convince ourselves it's easier not to bring up the past, to leave it untouched. But that silence has a cost: emotional distance. Healing requires a willingness to open those doors, not to dwell on the pain, but to understand it and allow space for growth. Technology also plays an unexpected role. Ironically, in an age of instant communication, many older adults feel more isolated than ever. Text messages and social media often replace deep, meaningful conversations. If you're not fluent in these tools or feel left behind by rapid changes, you may withdraw, feeling forgotten. But remember, Relationships aren't measured by likes or emojis. They're nurtured through honest, human connection. Health challenges can also shift dynamics. As we age, energy levels change, and physical limitations can make it harder to travel, participate in gatherings, or maintain routines that once supported closeness. You might feel reluctant to share these struggles, fearing you'll become a burden. But vulnerability isn't weakness. It's a bridge to authenticity. Letting loved ones know how you're feeling physically and emotionally can actually draw them closer. Finally, personal growth plays a role. In your 60s and beyond, it's natural to reflect, to reevaluate your beliefs, your desires, your identity. You may have changed significantly, become more introspective, more spiritually aware, or simply more protective of your peace. As you evolve, it's possible that the people around you haven't fully adapted to the new version of you, creating emotional friction or misunderstanding. Recognizing these layers doesn't solve the distance, but it gives you the tools to navigate it. With awareness comes compassion, for yourself and for others. You begin to see not just the space between you, but the paths that might lead back. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to take the first step with humility, courage, and the wisdom that only age can bring. Chapter 2, the first step, reaching out with vulnerability and courage. Reconnection always begins with a single step, a decision to reach out. For many, this is the hardest part. After years of silence or tension, the fear of rejection can feel overwhelming. What if they don't respond? What if it's awkward? What if it reopens wounds rather than heals them? These fears are real, but they must be met with something stronger, your intention. Taking the first step means embracing vulnerability. It's about showing up without a guarantee, opening your heart without demanding a particular outcome. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's bravery. It means saying, I care about you, even if those words haven't been spoken in years. It means calling your son after months of silence, writing a letter to your sister you've grown apart from, or simply sending a message that says, I've been thinking about you. Often, we wait for the other person to move first. We convince ourselves that if they really cared, they'd reach out. But here's the truth. They might be thinking the exact same thing. Both sides can be waiting, both sides afraid, both sides hurting in silence. By choosing to make the first move, you're breaking that cycle. You're showing maturity, grace, and strength, qualities that naturally come with age and experience. The first outreach doesn't have to be profound. A simple, how have you been, can be powerful. Avoid the temptation to dive immediately into old issues. Instead, focus on presence. Show that your interest in reconnecting isn't about rehashing the past, but about honoring the connection you still feel. If trust was broken, rebuild it slowly. If there were arguments, let time and gentle communication soften the edges. Sometimes the other person may not be ready. They may respond with hesitation or not at all. This doesn't mean you failed. What matters is your willingness to try. Reconnecting is not a one-time act. It's a process. You may need to try more than once. You may need to sit with silence longer than you'd like. But your courage plants a seed, even if it doesn't bloom immediately. It's also important to manage expectations. Reconnection doesn't always look like it did before. The relationship may take a different shape, more respectful, quieter, less frequent, but deeper. Let go of the need for perfect outcomes. Focus instead on genuine moments of connection, no matter how small. Your tone matters too. Approach the conversation with openness, not accusation. Use I statements. I miss you. I regret not reaching out sooner. I value our relationship. This creates space for the other person to listen without feeling defensive. Be willing to listen more than you speak. Ask questions. Invite stories. Create space for them to feel heard. The first step is sacred. It holds the weight of your hope and the light of your wisdom. Even if your voice trembles, even if your heart feels exposed, step forward. This act alone is transformative. In the next chapter, we'll explore the power of forgiveness, both offering it and asking for it, and how it can liberate not just your relationships, but your heart. Chapter 3, the power of forgiveness. healing the past to rebuild the present. Forgiveness is not about forgetting what happened. It's about releasing the grip that past pain holds on your present. At over 60, you carry decades of life experience, some joyful, some difficult. Among those moments are likely words that hurt, choices that caused distance, or long periods of silence that grew into barriers. If you want to reconnect with your loved ones, forgiveness is the bridge you'll need to cross. First, it's essential to understand that forgiveness is a gift, not just to the other person, but to yourself. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy stone in your heart. It doesn't punish the other person, it only exhausts you. Releasing that weight, even privately, is an act of emotional freedom. It creates space for new conversations, new memories, and renewed trust. There are two sides to forgiveness, giving it and seeking it. Both require humility. If someone hurt you, offering forgiveness doesn't mean excusing the behavior. It means choosing peace over bitterness. You can acknowledge the pain and still move forward. A conversation might sound like, "That moment years ago really hurt me, but I want to let it go because I care about you more than I care about holding on to that pain." If you're the one who caused hurt, intentionally or not, asking for forgiveness is equally powerful. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Say it clearly and simply. "I'm sorry for the way I acted," or "I regret how I handled that situation." It's not about erasing the past, but about validating the other person's feelings. This shows emotional maturity and a genuine desire to make things right. Forgiveness also requires empathy. Try to understand what the other person might have been going through at the time. Life is complicated. Stress, grief, fear, and even miscommunication can lead good people to behave in ways they later regret. Seeing the humanity behind the hurt can soften your heart and make space for healing. One of the most underestimated aspects of forgiveness is self-forgiveness. Maybe you feel you weren't the parent, sibling, or partner you hoped to be. Maybe you regret not calling more often, not saying, "I love you" when it mattered. These regrets can haunt us, especially later in life. But carrying shame blocks connection. You are not your past mistakes. Allow yourself grace. You've grown, you've learned, and you're trying now, and that matters more than perfection. Sometimes forgiveness needs time. Not every apology will be accepted right away. Not every conversation will end in reconciliation. That's okay. Your role is to offer the olive branch. What they do with it is their journey. Even if healing doesn't happen immediately, your effort plants a seed of trust that may bloom later. In relationships that matter, forgiveness isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing choice. As you and your loved ones evolve, you'll continue to bump into old patterns, misunderstandings, or emotional sore spots. But with forgiveness as your foundation, these challenges won't define the relationship. Your compassion will. In the next chapter, we'll focus on how to build new connections and shared experiences that bring you closer than ever before. Chapter 4, Creating New Memories, Rebuilding Connection Through Shared Experiences. Once the bridge of forgiveness has been laid, the next step is to walk across it together. Reconnection is not only about healing old wounds, but also about creating something new. Shared experiences have the power to deepen relationships in ways words alone cannot. They build emotional memory, strengthen trust, and bring joy into the present moment. Start simple. Invite your loved one for a walk in the park, a coffee at a familiar cafe, or a Sunday lunch. Choose settings that are comfortable and don't demand deep emotional conversation right away. Often, laughter over a shared meal or a peaceful silence during a walk can say more than hours of talking. These moments, however small, serve as anchors, reminders that connection doesn't need to be dramatic to be meaningful. If you're looking to reconnect with adult children or grandchildren, consider activities that bridge generational gaps. Cook a family recipe together, work on a photo album, or share stories about your past. Younger family members often crave a sense of legacy, and your stories, your voice, and your time are priceless gifts. They may not say it outright, but your presence is a living history they deeply value. For siblings or long-lost friends, you might revisit shared places or activities that once brought you joy, a favorite hiking trail, a music concert, or a shared hobby like gardening or painting. Nostalgia is a powerful connector, especially when paired with the intention to create new, positive layers on top of old memories. Creating new memories also includes new rituals. Maybe it's a monthly phone call, a weekly video chat, or a tradition of sending handwritten notes. These consistent, intentional gestures build rhythm into the relationship. They show that connection is not just a moment, it's a practice. And they reassure your loved ones that you're here, you're committed, and you're choosing them again and again. Don't underestimate the importance of celebration. Birthdays, anniversaries, and milestones offer natural moments to reconnect. Even a simple thinking of you card during a holiday can rekindle warmth. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. Every moment is an opportunity to build something new. And remember, joy is just as healing as honesty. While deep conversations are valuable, so is shared laughter. Watch a movie together, play a game, reminisce about funny moments. These experiences remind us that love isn't just about overcoming pain. It's about choosing joy. In our next and final chapter, we'll talk about how to keep these connections strong, sustainable, and soulful as you continue your journey beyond 60. Chapter 5, Sustaining the Bond. Staying connected with intention and grace. Reconnecting is powerful, but maintaining that connection is where the true transformation lies. Relationships, like gardens, need ongoing care. And at this stage in life, the way we nurture them changes. It becomes less about frequency and more about depth. Less about doing and more about being present, intentional, and sincere. The first principle of sustainable connection is consistency. Grand gestures aren't necessary. Small, regular acts of love and attention are far more impactful. A message every week, a call every other Sunday, or a note during the holidays. These become threads in the fabric of the relationship. They say, "I'm still here. You still matter." Next is presence. When you do connect, be fully there. Put down the phone, mute the TV, and listen with intention. Whether it's a 5-minute chat or a longer visit, presence communicates value. Your undivided attention is one of the most precious gifts you can offer. It tells the other person that they're not just part of your past, they're part of your now. Then, there's adaptability. People change, and so do the ways they connect. Maybe your loved one prefers texting to talking, or perhaps a grandchild is more comfortable sharing through art or music. Be open to their style, even if it feels unfamiliar. Flexibility shows respect, and respect deepens trust. It's also important to balance giving and receiving. Many older adults fall into the role of always giving, advice, support time. But connection is mutual. Let others care for you too. Share your thoughts, ask for help when needed, and express your needs honestly. Vulnerability invites closeness. Setting healthy boundaries is part of this too. Not every relationship will be perfect, and that's okay. Some family dynamics are complex. If someone remains distant or hurtful, you can still care without sacrificing your peace. Love from a distance, if necessary, and protect your well-being. Celebrate progress. Each moment of closeness, each honest conversation, each shared laugh is a success. Keep a gratitude journal. Reflect on how far you've come, and allow yourself to feel proud. You've taken a brave, loving step toward connection, and that deserves recognition. Lastly, keep your heart open. New connections may emerge where you least expect them, with in-laws, neighbors, or even long-lost friends. Stay curious. Keep growing. Love doesn't have an expiration date, and connection doesn't retire. As long as you're here, you have the power to touch lives. In our conclusion, we'll reflect on everything you've learned and how to carry this energy forward with hope, confidence, and compassion. Conclusion: reconnect with loved ones over 60, a new chapter of love and meaning. Reconnecting with your loved ones after 60 isn't about fixing everything. It's about rewriting the story from where you are now, with more wisdom, more calm, and more compassion. You've lived through decades of joy, challenges, and transformation. And now, you're choosing to move forward with open eyes and an open heart. In this journey, you've discovered that understanding distance is the first step. You've looked honestly at how life, time, and emotion can quietly stretch relationships until they feel out of reach. But instead of settling for silence, you chose courage. You reached out, even with trembling hands. You risked vulnerability for the possibility of love. That alone is a profound act of healing. You've embraced forgiveness, not as a surrender, but as a liberation. By letting go of past pain, you've made space for something new, a connection not burdened by what once was, but inspired by what could be. You've offered apologies, accepted imperfections, and given grace to others and to yourself. You've also learned that building connection is not about words alone. It's about moments shared, meals, memories, rituals, laughter. Through simple acts and new traditions, you've begun to form new emotional anchors, ones that remind your loved ones that they are seen, valued, and cherished. And you now know the secret to keeping those bonds alive: consistency, presence, and intention. You've become the quiet pulse in the background of someone's life, steady, loving, available. In doing so, you've redefined what it means to grow older, not as a retreat from connection, but as a powerful return to what truly matters. This stage of life isn't about looking back with regret. It's about looking forward with clarity and choosing every day to connect deeply, live honestly, and love fully. You're not too old to change, to forgive, to reconnect. In fact, you're more ready than ever. If there's still someone you're thinking about, someone you haven't called, or someone whose absence still lingers, take this as your sign. Reach out, start the conversation. Even if it doesn't go perfectly, it's real. And real is always better than regret. You're not alone in this. Across the world, millions of people over 60 are rediscovering love, family, and friendship. They're writing new chapters filled with meaning. And so can you. Thank you for having the courage to walk this path, for showing up with your whole heart, and for proving that connection at any age is always possible. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of something beautiful. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Share in the comments what stood out to you in this video. We'd love to hear it. Your feedback means a lot. Subscribe to Thrive Beyond 60, turn on the bell, and join us for more videos. See you very soon.